Hi everyone, welcome to the Rugby League History channel. Tonight's video is going to be my tips for round 8 of the 2022 NRL season. Last week I got 5 out of 8 correct. Let's see how many I get right this week. There's some good matchups coming up this week. There's some really good games to talk about. There's also some games that could go either way and they're going to be incredibly hard to tip. So let's start with the first match, which starts off on Thursday night. And the first match on the Thursday is Brisbane up against Cronulla-Sutherland. And this one's being played at Suncorp Stadium. Brisbane sat in 9th at the moment, Cronulla in 4th. Brisbane, believe it or not, have won 7 of the last 10 matches against Cronulla. So when you think about the two sides and how they're going, you'd think that maybe Cronulla would have the head-to-head advantage in the recent meetings, but it's actually Brisbane. And it was only a couple of years ago Brisbane was sat last and they nearly pulled off an upset against Cronulla. So going into this game, they're a bit of a bogey side for Cronulla. But looking at how the two sides have played this year, I can't go past Cronulla. They've been playing very well. They've got an impressive squad. They actually played better than I thought they would against Manly. They were very good in that first half there. So I go for Cronulla to win 1-12 on the Thursday night over Brisbane at Suncorp Stadium. The first of the two matches on Friday starts with the Gold Coast up against Penrith. The Gold Coast sat in 12th at the moment, Penrith coming first. Penrith are the only side that haven't lost this year so far. The last time that the Gold Coast beat Penrith in a match was in 2019, and before that it was 2016, so a very long time between wins for the Gold Coast over Penrith. And Penrith are a side that have forgotten how to lose. They're playing with immense confidence and they're just really enjoying their rugby out there. You can see that when they're scoring the tries and they're just winning every single game, and it's going to be very hard to see who's going to beat them this year. Eventually they probably will lose 1 or 2 games, but I don't think that there's too many sides out there that can do it, and I don't think the Gold Coast will be one of them. So I'll go for Penrith to win 13 plus on the Friday. I think that they'll just be too good for the Gold Coast and they'll get an easy win. The main match on the Friday sees South Sydney up against Manly Warringah. This match is being played at Central Coast Stadium. South Sydney sat in 8th at the moment, Manly in 7th. Looking at the head-to-head between the two sides, it's been a bit even over the last few years. Both sides have got wins against each other. This is a match that's quite hard to pick because you'd think last week that South Sydney would have beat West Tigers, and you thought that Manly would have put in a better performance against Cronulla in the Battle of the Beaches game. Certainly the second half was a lot better. So both sides have had sort of, you could see, in different starts of the year. I do, however, think that both sides will play finals. I think by the end of round 25 or 26. For this match, I will go for Manly to win 1-12. This is a game that's very hard to pick. It could go either way. But I will go for Manly on the Friday to beat South Sydney 1-12. The first match on Super Saturday is between New Zealand and Canberra. This one's being played in neutral territory, Martin Daly Stadium there, Redcliffe. New Zealand sat in 11th at the moment, Canberra sat second last in 15th. What can I say about New Zealand's last performance against Melbourne there? I was totally shocked by the results. It's the biggest loss in the club's history, and it pretty much effectively ends any chance that they had of winning the Premiership this year. Of course, we all know the 50-point rule. If you lose a game by 50 points, that's pretty much it for the year for them. For Canberra, they're coming second last at the moment, playing very poorly. They've lost 4 in a row. However, they've won 7 of their last 10 against New Zealand, so I suppose that's something, if you're a Canberra supporter, that you'd be happy with. But this is another match that's really, really hard to pick. It could go either way, because on one hand you have a side that's been thrashed, and generally what's happened in the NRL since I can remember is if your team gets thrashed or another team gets thrashed, generally the week after they come out with a much better performance. And both sides are under immense pressure here. It could be a New Zealand win, it could be a Canberra win. Very hard to go, but I'll go for Canberra to win by 6 points on Super Saturday. I think, I'll stick with Canberra to win by 6 points. The second match on Super Saturday is between Canterbury-Bankstown and Sydney Roosters. This one's being played at Stadium Australia. The last time that Canterbury beat Sydney Roosters was in 2016, so a very long time between drinks for Canterbury beating East. This is a game that I consider to be a rivalry match. Both of these sides go back a very, very long time. They've played in many grand finals, many big finals games throughout the history of both sides. Both sides do not like each other. Eastern Suburbs have had an indifferent start to the year. Canterbury sat dead last. Sydney Roosters in 6th at the moment. You'd think that it's going to be probably one-way traffic, you'd guess, but I think Canterbury will put up a real fight in this game. However, I'll go for East to win 1-12. I'm not 100% confident, but I think with the roster that they've got and the players that they've got, they should get the job done over Canterbury. And the final game on Super Saturday, and what some would probably see as the game of the round, it's Parramatta up against North Queensland. This one's being played at TIO Stadium in Darwin, and it sees Parramatta in 3rd, North Queensland in 5th. These two sides have met each other twice at TIO Stadium in Darwin. It's one apiece. In 2017, North Queensland won quite comfortably over Parra, and then in 2018 it was the Jared Haynes show at TIO Stadium there. Parramatta have been pretty good this year. They've only lost to 2 matches. Both of them have been right on the full-time siren or just after the full-time siren. North Queensland have shocked a lot of people. They're playing quite well. As I said, this could potentially be the game of the round. I think it'll be a very close match, but I will go for Parramatta to win by 6 points at TIO Stadium in Darwin. I think that the conditions will favour North Queensland, with it being up there in Darwin where it's going to be red hot. That'll suit North Queensland just perfectly, but I believe if Parramatta can get through their sets and hold on to the ball and get some field possession, they're capable of scoring a lot of points. And the defence has been alright this year for Parramatta, so I'm confident that Parramatta can win, so I'll go for them to win by 6 points over North Queensland on Super Saturday. The first of the Sunday games kicks off with Newcastle against Melbourne. This one's being played at McDonald Jones Stadium. The last time that Newcastle beat Melbourne was in round 24 2015, and they beat them 20 points to 6. And I think you'd think that Melbourne were resting some players before the finals when that game occurred. Newcastle currently sat in 14th at the moment. They've been really, really poor at home. I mean, they were embarrassed by Manly there. I think they only scored 6 points in that match, and then in front of a sold-out crowd last week, they only scored 2 points against Parramatta. So they're coming up against a Melbourne side where they haven't beaten them in 7 years, and Melbourne's just put 70 on New Zealand. So I'll go for Melbourne to win 13 plus in this game. I think that Newcastle don't really stand much of a chance, and if they've been playing the way that they have, then they don't stand much of a chance against Melbourne. And the final game to close out the round is between St George and West Tigers. This one's being played at Wynn Stadium in Wollongong. St George sat in 10th at the moment. West Tigers in 13th. West Tigers have won their last 4 matches against St George. And some people have jokingly said that this is the game of the round. And I think the last time I can think that both sides were in a really important match against each other where it really, really meant something and there was a big build-up to it was the 2010 preliminary final, which St George won by a point. West Tigers have been playing a lot better since the reshuffle with Jackson Hastings going to halfback. And St George were quite good against Eastern Suburbs there on the Anzac Day game. This is another game that's really hard to pick because West Tigers are going for 3 in a row, potentially the first time that they've gone for 3 in a row since 2018. St George are also going for 3 in a row, and if results go West Tigers' way, if they are to win this match, they'll find themselves in the top 8. But I will go for West Tigers. I think it's the first time I've tipped them this year. I'll go for them to win. I'll go for them to win by 6 to 10 points over St George on the Sunday. I just have a feeling that West Tigers will win 3 in a row, and the reshuffle will be a good thing for the club. But anyway, that's my tips for round 8 of the 2022 NRL season. Hope you enjoyed these tips. Let me know in the comment section below who you're tipping and who your first try scorers are. And if you got any bets, let me know. So thanks for tuning in. And I'll be doing some videos very shortly. I'll be on Sam Revell's channel tomorrow. And then on Wednesday, it's the View from the North podcast with Just Rugby League. Anyways, everyone, thanks for tuning in. Tatty bye for now.